So welcome to another episode of our podcast. This podcast is where we break down and just dissect some of the information that I've been sharing. And it's your idea, isn't it? Natty, my young protege here, who says that we need to just break things down because sometimes my blogs are a bit too high level. So here's the reason why we're doing it. And today, what's the subject matter today?
Well, the most recent blog is MINDSET MoT, because you said that everyone needs to have an MoT for their mind, because like everyone has an MoT for their car, you need to have a checkup of where you're at. And based on the times that we're seeing on the news and the newspapers and on the internet that's coming, the recession and hard times are coming, you need to have just a mental check going into the new year.
But it's kind of funny though, it seems, now that we talk about it, it's kind of so obvious. Like, if you want to have your car on the road, certainly in the UK, every year you have to do an MOT.
Yeah.
Don't matter what you think, you've got to have and produce a certificate. But yet, there's a bunch of people running around thinking that they're thinking okay, and their thinking is completely broken.
Excuse me. Well, no, you don't know what you don't know, because when I came to you when I was 16 and my thinking was broken, I didn't know it was broken until you say to me, it's broken.
Yeah, but that's the problem though, right there, isn't it? You know, so many people running around without knowing how to think correctly. And I think that's really what this episode is really all about. Just to give you the opportunity to think about your thinking pattern. Because it's the greatest asset that we have. And the reason why they do the car MOT is because it's an asset, right? And you don't want your asset to find, like, one day your steering wheel ain't working and you crash, and so you lose your asset. But the mind is the biggest asset that we have. So what are we doing to protect it? And the truth of the matter is, successful people, they do a mindset MOT of some sort, or they are regularly ensuring that they are protecting their mindset.
So how would one person do an MOT? What are some of the things that would get them to do an MOT on themselves?
So generally, I mean, we found that people are doing lots of the things now, like reading regularly. 30 years ago, people weren't reading. In fact, you know, in our community, they definitely weren't reading. There was even this saying, shall I say it? There was a saying, you may have heard it, that if you want to hide something.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you remember that one?
Hide knowledge from a black man.
If you want to hide knowledge from a black person, put it in a book. So we weren't reading in our community like we needed to, and we could understand because everybody was trying to go out and get that bread. But it just goes to prove the point that it's not about how much you do; it's about how much you know. Right. So reading the right kind of books that are going to empower you, that are going to give you knowledge and insights. And of course, it's about being open-minded, because if you're reading stuff but you're closed-minded, it ain't going to help nobody.
Right.
Yeah. So reading is definitely a good thing. Being around the right kind of people, and what I mean by that is making conscious decisions about who you're rolling with you and who you're letting in your circle. We don't be doing that. We just be meeting somebody in the club and then it's like we're friends, and you know, and that ain't really the way to be. When you recognize how valuable your mind is, then you start to treat it differently. Like, you know, if you were going to have a Bentley delivered tomorrow or a Lamborghini delivered tomorrow, well, immediately you'll be thinking about where you're going to place it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Even if you have to go and rent somewhere, a garage, like, you're not going to put it outside your front door because it's valuable.
Yeah.
So until we understand that our minds are valuable and therefore begin to move and act accordingly, so that we're protecting our minds by what we are consuming consciously and unconsciously. So that also means, you know, what kind of things you're taking in. So we talked about the news earlier on. You were saying, well, that's one kind of way that you can protect your mind, by not exposing it to constant, continual negativity. Because what you don't realize is that stuff is seeping into your subconscious mind. Now that's a whole another dimension that we can go into, which we won't do today. The whole construct and the anatomy of your mind and how your mind is constituted of different parts. But safe to say, there are a number of different things that you can do to protect your mind.
Yep. I just want to segue a little bit on the mind, because I wanted to just want to touch on this one point. I was reading this book earlier this year called Ego is the Enemy.
Okay.
Because I was doing some mindset MOT of my own.
Okay.
And I've been with you for a few years, and you often say to me, young people are often arrogant.
Well, I don't say that. What I say is young people are arrogant in their ignorance. That's what
Even worse. Even worse.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I had to do some checking because I wanted to understand my thinking. Because obviously I want to do certain things, but it's limited based on the commitments that I have.
Right.
And that stuff of that nature. And in that book, Ego is the Enemy, it taught me, because you know how Brother Ishmael say you should...
My spiritual mentor you're talking about.
Yes,
Just in case you don't know who
Brother
he's talking
Ishmael,
about.
he says that you must know who I am, and obviously everyone has ego, everyone has pride, all those things, and you have to identify if there are weeds or if there are flowers.
Right.
So obviously too much ego is obviously a weed. So it's good that I was checking it, because I had to make sure that my ego doesn't get in front of my vision because of where I believe it could go. You saying arrogant in your ignorance.
Yeah.
Because even though I have the vision of what I want to do, it's like I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm just like, yeah, bun this, I want to get there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I personally think, and this is just my personal view, that you need some ego. Like, you need to have the confidence, like, you know what, I'm going to go get this. And you, in a way, to a degree, you need to be ignorant. Like, for many people who start a business, they're just going for it.
Yeah.
And it's only when they start the journey that they realize, damn, I didn't know it was going to be like this.
Yeah.
Well, if you needed to be a little bit ignorant, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you're so arrogant that no one can tell you nothing, well, then now that's a problem.
Yeah, because even in that book, it said, Ego is the Enemy, it said that one of the greatest ways that people have gone to succeed over generations that he's read and researched are people who have had mentors to guide them through the process.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, people just don't get it. And you know, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
As you just mentioned, Brother Ishmael, he's been my spiritual mentor for 40 years. 40 years. Not 40. So why is he still in my... I mean, I just gave him a shout out this afternoon. Why am I still tapping into him? Because... And why did I have a business mentor? Like, you know, why do I seek mentors for every important area of my life? Because, yeah, I may have stumbled on it, or life may have blessed me with a mentor 40 years ago, and I didn't really appreciate it for, you know, for a while. But once I came to understand, I'm like, yo, these guys can help you collapse time.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, collapse time. Come on, man, let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, I'm just going to say for me, I don't always understand the work through the process.
What do you mean?
So you say a mentor can help you collapse time. Me, I see it as red tape, because it's like, why would you do all of this? Why don't you just do this? Because I don't understand, obviously, ignorance.
Okay, yeah. But you know, that's because a lot of people don't understand that it's not about the end goal. It's about the journey. So if you have two options, you can take the solo route, and it's going to take you 2 years, and it's going to be painful, and you can just, in your ego and your arrogance, you're going to push through, and you're going to get there. Good for you. But you're going to have some scars. Yeah? And you're going to have some, you know, wounds. The other alternative is you become a student and have a mentor, and you ain't going to get so many bumps and bruises. You're going to get knowledge, you're going to get experience, and you're going to do it in 2 months. Now, which one you gonna go for?
The 2 months.
Right. But the problem is, most people, or majority of people, don't know that the 2-month option actually exists. So obviously, if you only have one option and you're going to be a soldier, like ride or die, we're going to get this, then I respect you. But what I'm saying is, the truth of the matter is, homie, though, you're ignorant to the fact that there is another option.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, well, I would say some people don't know that there's another option, but I don't think they see the opportunity in that second option.
So let me put it in context. Remember, I've been investing in people for 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years ago, you'd be talking to people about get a mentor, and they'd be looking at you like, like, what are you talking about? They would really think you're trying something. Like that's a new scam that you're coming with. Like they were really not feeling that at all.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, but you say that. So that's my point. I have the beauty of lived experience and time. So I can look how things were 30 years. I can look at how things were, 30 odd years ago. The first time I'm putting on my event and I'm giving people opportunities. Look, I was saying to you just before we came on shoot, one of my Instagram posts is talking about how I created a situation by giving opportunities to lots of people, singers, musicians, and performers, just giving a bunch of people an opportunity in one moment. But there were some people that were so broken-minded. I'm inviting you to perform on stage because you ain't doing nothing on a Sunday evening. And then you're telling me, well, you got to pay me. What do you mean I got to pay you? No, I gave you an invitation. I'm wanting to support you because I think you're a crafted, developing musician. But you can say no. It's that simple. Like, What do you mean I got to pay you? So that was the kind of mindset that people had. And my whole thing has been for the last 30 years is, on a serious note, is I and the people that I have around me, like my spiritual mentor and Michael Beckwith from, The Secret, The Law of Attraction. There's a small group of us across the globe who recognize that we have to lift the consciousness of humanity. That's the real play. And we're holding the space knowing that, okay, 30 years ago, a bunch of people, majority of people don't get it. But if we could just hold the space and hold on to that vision, then some people's going to come through eventually. And we've literally had to wait for a generation. Like we've had to skip a generation or two. Whereby for you now, when I talk about mentor and coaching, you're like, yeah, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because why would you not go for someone who already has what you want? Like if they already have what you want to achieve, why not learn how they got there so you can learn how they did it, do it yourself in a short amount of time, and then excel, and then go on the beach somewhere.
Well, the reason why, the fundamental difference is the lack of vision. In my blog I talked about that what people don't realize is that the mind that we don't see with our eyes, we see with our minds. And as a result of being able to, and that's really quite profound to understand. We don't see with our eyes, we see with our minds. So the difference between you and that other cat, he's just looking at, or the guy in the venue, the musician, he's just looking at, well, musicians on stage, they get paid. He's not looking with a vision to say, I'm going to become a great musician and I'm going to perform and practice and get as much practice as possible, knowing that the magic is actually in the practice. Because then I get to do my 10,000 hours of practice, and eventually now I am getting good and so good that people are wanting me to play, and my diary is getting so booked up. Even though I'm doing free gigs, it gets to a point of saturation where I'm totally booked out. And now I have to say to someone, I'm booked out. And if they want me so bad, they're going to say to me, well, look, I'll give you some money. Can you cancel one? And that's how it works.
That reminds me of a book we read for our book study club, The Power of Masterminding, where it said in that book, everyone is a genius at least once in a year. And it says, the genius is only 1% of your success. And the other 99%, which is the practice that you're talking about, would help you to achieve that 1% genius.
Yeah. But if you don't know that, and you're not open to that, then you're going to think it's only one way. And that one way of just bruising yourself and abusing yourself to get to that point. But I just think that we just need to be more creative. And that's my gift and my blessing, to be able to use my mind in a creative way where everyone's going that way to get to that objective. But I ask myself the question, could there be another way? And I don't need to see everybody going. See, I don't need to see with my eyes. I don't need to follow the crowd. Because if I have a vision and I see it with my mind, well, I might be the only person taking that path. But I get there. And that's the beauty of where we're at now. So here I am, almost 40 years on my journey, where I have been following my vision, believing that something is possible. And everybody around me has been saying, it's not possible. You have to go and get a day job. You can't follow your dreams. You can't follow your visions. But here I am now. People want to pay me 5 figures to know what I know. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not about the money, because it's been a hell of a journey. But with each passing year, where my peers are declining in energy, zeal for life, and they're just waiting to retire, my thing's going the other way. Because now I've got so much experience, I understand that the mind is just a powerful tool that if you know how to harness it, you can do things that you never dreamed of. And so that's really what I'm about, sharing with those but it's not for everyone. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
My thing is now, and it's taken, well, you've been around for a long time, you've seen. I recognize that it's really only the 5%. So, 100 people might be listening to us today, but only 5%, only 5 are going to really hear what's being said. And of those 5, probably 1 or 2 will take action. But it's fine. I'm cool with that, because we have social media, so we can reach tens of thousands of people. It ain't no loss to us, you and me. We just keep doing what we're doing, having fun. And then those people that resonate and feel the vibe, they show up. And then we show it and we prove it. And then we put them on our YouTube to demonstrate and prove to people that this stuff works. And it's not a exclusive thing. It's based on universal laws. The same way that gravity obeys laws of the universe and the laws of gravity, equally there's a law of the mind. And once you understand and begin to practice the laws of the mind, it is what it is.
Could you share a law of the mind for us, one of the laws of the mind for us? Just in relation to MINDSET MoT.
So, simple one, what you focus on grows. Now it sounds so simple, but it's so profound. Because we have, 60,000 thoughts a day on average? And for the average person, they don't know what they're focusing on. They're not even conscious of it. So some men, they're just focusing on looking at.
Come on, don't say that.
Yeah, but some men are just focused on looking at the booty and just and that's okay. But
no, it's not.
But yeah, because what you focus on grows. So that's all you're going to be attracting in your life.
Yeah.
And that could be good or bad. As opposed to a guy that is wanting to settle down, in a solid relationship. So he's looking at women. So don't get it twisted. You see my point?
Yeah.
But he's looking at women with intent. He has a vision.
Yeah.
Equally, you might decide that you want to get your business going. The simple principle is: are you conscious of what you're thinking? Are you conscious of how much of those 60,000 thoughts, I mean, if you treated those 60,000 thoughts like money, then that's the game.
What do you mean by that?
So, if at the start of the day, when you get up, you're like, I got 60,000 pounds in my back pocket, and you have to spend them before the end of the day. Yeah, now that's a lot.
Do you know what's quite funny that you said that? Because a few days ago I was like, yeah, there's some thoughts in there that can generate some additional money. Because I'm looking for some additional leverage about affecting my commitments. And I'm like, I'm looking for you.
Yeah, but
that's exactly what I said to
check
myself.
this is why some people are broke and they need to stay broke, because they can't even handle those 60. Remember, this is how deep it is. You have to spend that 60,000 by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because the next day you're going to get another 60,000.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And some people can't even do that, because they'll be spending some of those 60,000 on negative thoughts, on things that are going to debase them as opposed to growing them. So now it would have been better if you didn't even have the 60,000, because now you're using some of that to actually make your state lower.
Yeah.
So now you're not even living. You're living in reverse. And live, spelt backwards, is evil. What you're doing with your thoughts is actually evil to you. You become your worst enemy. You don't need no money then.
Yeah, that was game.
You know what I'm saying?
How did you just drop it like that?
But this is what it is.
Yeah, crazy.
It's what it is. So
Actually, yeah, it's crazy.
if you don't, this is why you need to have a mindset MOT, because you literally might be your own worst enemy. And here's the thing about life, and what I've learned is that life is so creative, and life is so loving, and life is so intelligent. Like, if you are your own dumbest, worst enemy, then life will even, in a loving, creative way, stop you from being such a dumbass to yourself.
Yeah.
By not letting you do so much damage. So you won't get no money. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you would employ that in a negative way. Conversely, get your mind right. You don't need no money, because you got 60,000 thoughts, and you only need to take one of those and nurture it, and it can make you a multimillionaire. So can you see why we need to do the mindset MOT? Because we actually have abundance right here in our mind, right here. And we don't know how to access it, or we don't know how to use it, or we don't know how to invest in it.
Yeah.
So there we go. So now you can see why I'm so big on why it's so important for you to do a mindset MOT. And by the way, if you want to do a mindset MOT based on what you've heard today, we are, should we give them a gift for anyone that might be interested?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So some of you might be thinking, I'm going to give you something for free. I ain't doing that. Let me just tell you that. And let me tell you the reason why. I've done that for 20 years. And what I found is that people who don't pay attention. So we don't do that anymore. But what I will give you is a gift. And if you're interested, send us a message to our help desk.
I'll put it in the link below.
Yeah. And you can have our mindset MOT. And I'm going to give you, what should we give them? Like 70% off the price.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that for you. As a Christmas, birthday, whatever it is that you want to celebrate. And we're doing this because we're in the month of December now. And so I know that a bunch of people are thinking about 2023 and how they're going to live 2023. And if you've seen one of my videos, there's a video we did a few years ago, right? Where I'm saying to people, at the beginning of the year, everyone's talking about setting new goals. Well, based on what we're going to show you, setting new goals is the last thing that you want to do. The mindset MOT is what you do first, and we'll help you get clear on your vision, and then you put your goals together. So if you are serious about wanting to set your mind up, do a mindset MOT so that your 2023 can be the best year that you've had in a long time, then that's my gift to you. What do we say? 60%? No.
You said 70. You said
all right,
70.
that's the Nigerian coming out of me. Yeah, all right, 70% is what it is. So check us out, and our prices will be going up next year anyway, in January. So be wise. If it resonates, connect, and let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions, or have we done some good game today?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I really certainly have enjoyed it. It's a great time to be alive. I feel that we have technology and to leverage and allow our information that we want to share to be shared with people across the globe. So I hope you've enjoyed it. But don't just listen to it and take it as entertainment. If there's anything that's resonated with you, then take it and apply it, because as my spiritual mentor taught me, the magic is always in the practice. It's me, Tony Dada, and young Natty saying, till next time, enough love.